NFL free agency is set to officially start this afternoon.
The window where players can sign with a new team coincides with the kickoff of the new league this year. Several top free agents have already negotiated contracts with new teams. As a result, we're expecting to see some similar faces in new places once training camp starts this summer.
Oh, it's always so much drama. Joining us now to dissect it is Tyler Dragon. He's an NFL and Olympic sports reporter at USA Today. Hey, good to have you with us, Tyler. So the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, is still shopping for his next team. What are you hearing about this, and where do you expect him to sign?
Yeah, I think we can get a decision as soon as today. All momentum is saying that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the New York Jets' next starting quarterback. The Packers and the Jets are still trying to finalize trade details to make that happen. But I have heard from sources that Aaron Rodgers wants to be in New York as the Jets' next quarterback. And the Packers, they're kind of ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers and let Jordan Love be the next quarterback of the present and the future for that franchise. So we could get a decision as soon as today where Aaron Rodgers is going to wind up. But all things are pointing to New York and with the Jets.
All right, we'll stay tuned for that. Meantime, you say that Javon Hargrave is the biggest free agency signing made so far. What about this signing do you like so much, and why do you think he will make the biggest impact on the 49ers in his first year with the team?
Well, the rich get richer in San Francisco. The 49ers already had the #1 ranked defense last season. And then you get a defensive tackle of his caliber. He was one of the best defensive tackles in all of football last season. You pair him along that defensive line with the reigning defensive player of the year in Nick Bosa. You have Eric Armstead, too, along the defensive line. And then you have Fred Warner at linebacker. The 49ers, they are really stacked on defense, and I expect them to be one of the top defensive units next year, especially with that addition of Hargrave.
All right, Tyler Dragon. Tyler, great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, let's move on. The DOJ and the SEC, they're preparing investigations now into the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank. As we learned, the bank's board of directors pumped millions into Democratic campaigns and causes.
Yeah, you believe this? Does anyone do banking anymore? And a cringeworthy video surfaces from the offices of another bank that collapsed over the weekend.
Peter Ducey wakes up this morning in Las Vegas, and he joins us with more. Hey, Peter.
And when Signature Bank, the other one that has now gone under, initially launched, its executives thought it would be wise to put together a music video where one of the lyrics is about the bank, and this is a quote, "The stupidest idea I've ever heard."
So many useless meetings. Some banks will sell their souls. Some banks just feel real old. This is a way signature.
It is catchy, and that's the Signature Bank. Two things we learned last night about Silicon Valley Bank. They didn't have a chief risk officer for several months last year, and their board members didn't have a ton of investment banking experience. But they did have experience donating to and working for high-profile Democrats. Kate Mitchell donated $50K to Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. Garen Staglin donated overall $135,000 to Democrats. That included $79,000 to Hillary, $10,000 to Biden, $79,000 to Clinton, and $35,000 to Obama. Mary Miller on the board, no donations, but she did work for Barack Obama as the Undersecretary for Domestic Finance at the Treasury Department.
Silicon Valley Bank is the poster boy for idiot management now. That brand is radioactive waste. And so at the end of the day, let this thing go under, because that's our democratic, capitalist system, because when you're an idiot and it goes to zero, that's okay.
And we got a transcript of President Biden's closed-door fundraiser here in Las Vegas last night. It's the second one in a row, California and then Nevada, where he talked to high-profile Democratic donors, and he did not bring up anything about the banking system or the problems. Back to you.
Do you anticipate him saying anything about it today? Because we're going to break some news here in a minute about another big bank.
It's possible because he's going to come here. He's going to talk to people about prescription drug prices. And so if folks are worried about drug prices, might be worried about the cost of things, the banking system impacts all of that. But it doesn't seem like they really want to talk about this until they absolutely have to.
I don't blame him. All right, Peter Ducey live at the University of Las Vegas in front of the arena. Thank you very much. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Flood emergency on the West Coast. More than a dozen locations on major rivers are overflowing in California. Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman is in Montecito, California with the latest.
The West inundated with heavy rain and flooding. And California's Governor Gavin Newsom expanding the state of emergency to 43 counties. The wind so fierce and the ground so soggy that trees were downed across the state, this one displacing 10 residents after falling on an apartment complex. And at one elementary school outside of San Francisco,
Oak Elementary, the car rushed into the parking lot for a tree that came down, and a student was injured.
A redwood crashing into a classroom, injuring a young girl who suffered a minor head injury. In Santa Barbara, which got record rainfall Tuesday, we joined the fire department's Mark Vantillo as he inspected for potential landslides.
But that's roaring. A significant amount of water. Yeah, that's ripping.
Winds topping 70 miles per hour in the Bay Area, toppling trucks. Emergency crews working Tuesday to right this overturned big rig on the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge.
Matt Gutman from Montecito, California. Matt, thank you. And ABC's Melissa Adon joins us live now from Los Angeles as well. The LA River behind you, Melissa, it's high, not over its banks, but it's high. After nearly a week of rain on the West Coast, how are emergency crews preparing for yet another round of rain?
Yes, Phil. So what's really impressive here is that we're kind of getting used to the sight here of the LA River, right? The river can actually go even higher, but this is really a phenomenal level just because of the amount of rainfall we've received, honestly, just really throughout this year. So that's been staggering. But again, at this point in the daytime here, the conditions have kind of slowed off, tapered off with the rain. Not as strong of an atmospheric river, and rather a warm one that we're experiencing right now, Phil.
All right, Melissa Adon in Los Angeles. We know you'll be keeping an eye on the river for us. Thank you very much.
This is a Fox News alert. Growing fallout over the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. This morning, Dow futures now falling 600 points as plunging shares of Credit Suisse hit a new low. Meanwhile, new details emerging about SVB, namely its strong support for far-left social causes, including more than $73 million to Black Lives Matter, while just one of its members had banking experience on a board packed with Democrat mega donors. Fox News contributor Douglas Murray joins us now. Douglas, it's a mess.
It's an unbelievable mess and in many ways completely predictable. You know, after the 2008 financial crisis, Christine Lagarde, who used to be the head of the IMF, used to have this sort of cutesy line she used to say. She used to say, if Lehman Brothers had been Lehman Sisters, this wouldn't have happened. I said many times after that, because she said it a lot, that's absolute nonsense. And but it was terribly symptomatic of the era, this idea that somehow there had been too much maleness in Lehman Brothers, too much whiteness, too much straightness, and that somehow, in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, banking, like everything else, should not focus on expertise, but should focus instead on identity. Now, that it's not surprising, by the way, that one of the top officers at Lehman Brothers, who happened to be a woman, went on to SVB, where she was a chief operating officer.
For SVB?
Yeah, she went straight to SVB. And if you look at the criteria that SVB had out there for not just who they wanted to employ, but who they were going to loan to, they consistently emphasized not whether the bank was going to get its money back in this mad financial arrangement that it had, but whether or not it was lending to enough minority businesses, enough female-run businesses, and so on. So you see an industry dominated not by expertise, but by the same thing everything else in the era is dominated by Diversity.
Why is that the big focus here when you're handling all of our money? These are big banks that Americans trust. We don't necessarily know who's on the board of these banks. At SVB, Tom King is the only member of the Silicon Valley Bank board who had experience in investments with Barclays. They touted after the collapse. They had one black member, one LGBTQ member. They have 45% of the board women. They donated more than $73 million to Black Lives Matter. They pledged the summer of 2020 to increase their commitment to DEI. This is their focus.
Yeah, I said a couple of books ago in a book called Madness of Crowds, I said, when will we stop playing this mad, obsessive diversity, inclusion, equity game? When will we stop playing it? Because I said then, at some point, the bridges fall down, you know? At some point, if you don't focus on expertise and instead just endlessly focus on identity, the bridges start to come down. Turns out, the first thing to come down is the banks.
Yeah, I know.
This is where DEI goes to die.
Well, I mean, the board of a bank should be the most experienced.
Yep. And it's just not been, as we've just seen from SVB in particular, that has not been the obsession. Like everything else in our age, the obsession is not to do with expertise, it is to do with this madness of the so-called DEI project. And if we don't learn from this, if banking sectors and others don't learn from this, I don't know when we will.
Douglas, thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
The Greek government says rail traffic will resume gradually from next week, more than 3 weeks after the deadliest train crash in Greece's history. 57 people were killed when a passenger train and a freight train collided head-on at the end of February. Louisa Pilbeam reports.
57 people died here, many of them teenagers and young people with their lives ahead of them, in what was the worst train crash Greece has ever seen. How could this happen? The question bringing thousands of people onto the streets of Greece. Among the protests, this in Athens, 12,000 people angry and demanding this never happens again on the country's railways. They're afraid of a government cover-up and say the country's rail infrastructure is old and dangerous. A week ago, these protests in the capital turned violent, Greek police using tear gas. Passenger and freight services on the route linking Athens and the northern city of Thessaloniki have been halted since the crash between the passenger train and freight train on the same piece of track 2 weeks ago. The Transport Minister has confirmed the route will reopen gradually next week. 4 railway officials have been charged over the disaster, but more protests are planned. On Thursday, flights to and from Greek airports will be grounded as air traffic controllers join a 24-hour nationwide strike over the crash, which many feel was a disaster waiting to happen. Louisa Pilbeam, BBC News.